It started with a single email that wasn't meant for me. A Thursday morning, 7:42 a.m. March the 14th, 2003. The office smelled like burnt coffee and printer toner, the kind of air that made you forget what fresh air felt like. I'd been with Harrington and Company, a global accounting and compliance firm, for 3 years. My job was to process internal audits, check transaction logs, and make sure the people who really made money never had to explain where it came from. That morning, an internal message blinked on my screen, black_file_master.xls, for verification. No subject, no signature, just a link from finance_ into harringtonco.net, a shared internal inbox used only by upper management. I hesitated. Opening the wrong attachment at this company could get you fired. But curiosity won. I double-clicked. The spreadsheet loaded slowly. Cells filling like tiny secrets coming alive, names. Hundreds of them. Columns labeled client_ID, clearance_status, deceased. And, the one that made my stomach turn, asset redirect. At first, I thought it was some kind of insurance reconciliation list, but then I noticed the notes in the final column: relocated, identity cleared, record suppressed. And under status, deceased. Several names I recognized, not celebrities. Not even clients, they were employees, people I had seen at the company Christmas party. People who were alive a few months ago.by noon. I couldn't focus on anything else, so I ran a background check on 3 of the deceased employees. All records, bank accounts, tax filings, medical insurance, were deactivated within 48 hours of their supposed deaths. No obituaries, no police reports. They'd simply been deleted from existence. Later that day, I called Mark Duval, my senior manager. Hey, Mark? Quick question. Do you know what the black file is? Silence. Then, too quickly, never heard of it. Don't go digging through the internal share drive, Emma. It's been tightening permissions. He hung up. That night, my access credentials were downgraded. My inbox was filtered through a monitoring layer. Someone had noticed. 2 days later, I stayed late, pretending to catch up on reports. When I went down to the parking garage, the fluorescent lights flickered like a dying heartbeat. Miss Lawson. The voice came from behind a concrete pillar. A man stepped out. Late 50s, cheap suit, face like he hadn't slept in a decade. He showed me an old employee badge, Harrington and Company, Risk Division. You opened the file, didn't you? He said quietly. I froze. Who are you? Someone who used to do your job. Until I found the same thing. He glanced around. They call it the black file because it's a ledger of ghosts. People they erase to balance the books. What do you mean, erase? Look up Project Rebirth. That's what they renamed it after 2001. You'll find it buried in the compliance logs. Then he walked away. By the time I reached the corner, he was gone. I found it at 2 a.m. in a forgotten directory. Rebirth_legacy.doc. A 50-page internal memo describing a program to expedite fiscal risk recovery via personnel identity reclassification. In plain English, if an employee or client posed a financial threat, whistleblower, lawsuit, insider, Harrington and Company would simulate their death, redirect their assets to shell companies, and reassign their social identities under new tax entities overseas. IT was money laundering through people. I printed the file, hands shaking. Every page felt heavier than paper had any right to be. The next morning, a message popped into my inbox from someone named Nina Park, external consultant. Subject: we need to talk. Before it's too late. When I called, a woman's voice whispered, don't use your work phone. They monitor everything. She gave me an address, a diner off Route 9. When I got there, the booth was empty except for a folded receipt with 2 words, run now. On Monday, HR summoned me. Emma, we are doing a security review. It's routine. Their smiles didn't reach their eyes. They asked about my recent access logs. Who gave me clearance, why I'd been viewing archive files when I denied everything. One of them slid a printed page across the table, a snapshot of my computer screen. Frozen on the black file, you're in violation of Section 14 of your confidentiality agreement, said the HR director, voice flat. Turn in your badge. They walked me out. That evening, my home Wi-Fi was jammed. My phone showed unknown devices connected. Then came the call. No number, just static and a voice that hissed. You shouldn't have copied it. But I had. The night before HR called me in. I'd copied the black file onto a flash drive and hid it inside the battery compartment of an old desk clock. It was the only insurance I had. 2 weeks later, I got a message from a block number: if you want to live, meet at Pier 12. Bring the file. I didn't go. Instead, I mailed the flash drive to a reporter friend I hadn't spoken to in years, Michael Reyes, who wrote for the Chronicle. He called me the next morning. "Emma, where did you get this?" It came from inside Harrington. He exhaled sharply. "Then you just sent me proof of the biggest financial ghost operation in corporate history." That night, my apartment lights went out outside. An SUV idled in the rain. I grabbed my laptop, ran down the back stairs, and didn't stop until I reached a motel off the interstate. By the next morning, Michael was dead. Single car accident. Brake failure. By the time I heard about Michael's accident, I was already an unperson. My bank accounts were frozen. My email credentials revoked. The company health plan gone. When I called my landlord to ask if I could extend rent another week, he said, "Who's this again?" They hadn't just fired me. They had started erasing me. I realized what the others from the black file had gone through. I wasn't reading about ghosts anymore. I was becoming one of them. I bought a burner phone at a gas station outside town and drove aimlessly north. Every rest stop, I checked over my shoulder. Every car with tinted windows made my pulse jump. That night, I parked behind a truck stop and connected to public Wi-Fi. Michael's last message was waiting in my inbox. From michael.reyes@chroniclepost.com. Subject: "They knew Emma. It's bigger than I thought. The file you sent, it's only part of it. The full archive's on a remote server called Omega. Someone inside your company is trying to leak it, but they've gone dark. Find them before they find you." The timestamp was 3 a.m., 2 hours before his death. Omega wasn't in any corporate database. IT wasn't a department. It was a shadow server, a physical data center registered under a shell firm in London, supposedly handling off-site archival redundancies. In reality, it stored every illegal transaction the black file covered. Through an encrypted chat room used by ex-employees, I found a handle: Atlas Gray. He claimed to have once been a systems engineer at Harrington's London office. "You're the American," he wrote, "the one who woke the ghosts. If you want proof, you'll need access to Omega physically. That's the only way. But be careful. They've already purged 2 admins." He sent coordinates: a nondescript warehouse by the Thames. Then, "You didn't hear this from me," and logged off. I sold my car for cash, bought a one-way flight to London under a fake name, and arrived with nothing but a backpack and a USB key. The warehouse was exactly where he said: grey concrete. No signs, surrounded by CCTV cameras, but inside, through a cracked ventilation panel, I could see rows of humming servers and a lone security guard scrolling his phone. That's when I heard someone behind me whisper, "Emma." It was Atlas Gray. Real name Lucas Trent. Mid-40s. Tall, hollow-eyed, nervous like he hadn't slept since the Cold War. "They keep everything here," he said, voice trembling. "Every falsified death, every redirected asset. They call it human balance sheets." He pointed to a single black server rack marked root. "That's the brain. Download it, and you have proof they've killed hundreds on paper, and maybe in reality." I asked him, "Why are you helping me?" "Because I built it," he whispered, "and I can't live with it anymore." We slipped inside through a side maintenance door. Lucas knew the security cycles: 90 seconds between patrols. I plugged my drive into root and initiated the copy. Progress bar: 2%, 4%, 7%. Then came the distant echo of boots. "Security," Lucas cursed. "They shouldn't be here tonight." The lights went from white to red. Alarmed, I yanked the drive at 23%. And we ran through the maintenance corridor, past a loading dock, straight into the cold London air behind us. I heard shouting and one single gunshot. I turned. Lucas was on the ground, clutching his side. "Go!" he rasped. "Finish it." I wanted to drag him with me, but he pushed me away. "They'll erase you too." So I ran. Into the night. Into a city that didn't know my name. I hid in a hostel near Camden, through Lucas's half-copied files. I pieced together what Omega contained: 2 812 identities marked reclassified, $3.6 billion funneled through 41 shell firms. .42 confirmed deaths matching. whistleblowers or terminated consultants, and one internal memo signed by Richard Harrington. Himself.it was enough to destroy them, but who would listen? I couldn't go to the police. Harrington had former MI5 officers on retainer at SOI turn to the one network that couldn't be silenced overnight, the internet, using a journalist's forum Michael had once mentioned. I uploaded the data in pieces, encrypted under the codename #GhostLedger, within hours. Independent reporters began cross-referencing the names. 2 days later, the Chronicle Post ran the headline, "Inside Project Rebirth, the corporate program that kills its own." It went viral, too viral.by dawn. Every major outlet was running the story. Harrington and Company issued a statement denying all allegations and calling it a digital forgery. Their stock fell 38% in one day, but then the counterattack began. Fake documents surfaced, doctored to discredit me. Photos of me in foreign meetings I'd never attended. Social media flooded with claims that I was mentally unstable. A disgruntled ex-employee why phone buzzed with unknown messages. "You think you can destroy us with a spreadsheet? We built the world you live in." That evening, someone broke into my hostel room. They didn't steal anything, just left a single business card on the pillow. Harrington and Company, Crisis Management Division, 4 weeks. I moved from city to city, Dublin, Prague, Zurich. Everywhere I went, I found signs that the corporation's reach was endless. Banks, governments, even NGOs, all quietly tied to Harrington through financial dependencies. But something had changed. Anonymous sources began leaking more. Employees came forward, confirming internal death simulations and data laundering. The public outrage was unstoppable. A global inquiry formed, Interpol subpoenaed Harrington's London office, and suddenly, silence. Their website went offline. Their headquarters emptied overnight. It was as if the entire company had been wiped off the map. 6 months later, a package arrived at my rented PO box in Berlin. No return address. Inside, a small hard drive. On it, a single file, blackfile_full.7z, protected by a password. Attached, a note in handwriting I recognized, "For when they come for you again. L. Lucas Trent." He'd survived. I opened the archive. Inside was the complete database, names, transactions, dates, proof beyond denial, and one new entry. Dated just 2 weeks prior, client undisclosed status notesum 0423, deceased, subject terminated in Prague. They had already filed me as dead. I had 2 choices, disappear and let the truth rot, or publish everything and accept that my life, as it had been, was over. I chose the latter. 18 midnight. I uploaded the entire black file to a decentralized web host. Within 24 hours, thousands of users had mirrored it. Governments couldn't take it down fast enough. The world saw, executives were arrested. Subsidiaries collapsed, and yet, for every Harrington and Company that fell, a new shell company rose to take its place. A year later, I was living under a new name in a quiet coastal town. One morning, an envelope slid under my door. No stamp, no address. Inside, a photo of Lucas, alive, standing in front of an unmarked office tower. On the back, written in black ink, "Rebirth never died. It just changed names." And below that, coordinates. "TOA new data center. In Singapore." I stared at it for a long time, then folded the photo, slipped it into my coat pocket, and whispered, "Not this time."